Hello and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name is AJ. I have not read the entire series. And with me today is my BFF in JPN, who has read all of the TVBB, Peter Bond. What's up?
Good morning. I'm feeling absolutely obliterated over here. I did a huge hike. My body is destroyed, and the perfect condition to make a podcast.
Great. Also here with me today is my friend, closest confidant, and there's always an unspoken open invite to come to my house whenever she would like, India Jones.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for the invite, AJ. I might be busy.
Okay. And last but not least, this podcast's Scooby-Doo historian who did not notice or say anything about my new glasses when we were in person together yesterday, Josh Baker.
I actually don't look at people's faces when I'm like in person with them, so that's
Josh, that is patently untrue. We were talking at the dinner table last night. You were making full eye contact with me, my friend.
AJ, gun to my head, I could not describe the previous glasses you wore. I mean, honestly, not in a million years would I have noticed that you've used glasses.
Well, I know they're different than these glasses.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I know that now that you've told me, but yeah, that's about all I got. Yeah. Yes, I did see AJ in person yesterday, and it was a lovely time.
It was a good time. I learned a lot.
We had cheap
I'm jealous.
Mexican food, and it was fucking incredible.
Really good.
What did you get?
I had a torta Milanese, and it was awesome.
What's that?
A torta with a chicken Milanese.
You said the same thing to me yesterday, and I had no idea what that meant, even though I was looking at the sandwich. I just didn't think
it was that weird of a dish.
It's not weird. I just don't know what Milanese is. Yeah.
It's a cutlet that's been trimmed thin and then fried lightly in breadcrumbs.
It looked great.
So it's just like a chicken cutlet, though. But
kind of like imagine the chicken in a chicken parm. That is basically chicken Milanese, but like sometimes chicken parmies get a little too big. You know. That seems just fucking humongous.
It was like as big as my face. Josh ate half of it and said, "I kind of want to eat the other half of this, but I'm so full." And then
AJ had to make me stop eating because it was so fucking good.
Yeah, dejectedly started taking slow bites out of it, and then eventually just deconstructed the whole sandwich and was just
putting me
on
absolute blast right now. I don't get a lot of good Mexican food in fucking Perry Hall, Maryland.
That's funny as fuck.
Josh, how do you think my Mexican food life is out here?
I was about to ask, what's the situation in Japan?
I distinctly remember you asking me once if I had ideas about how you could fucking DIY some Mexican food in Japan, and I tried my best. It was not appetizing sounding.
Well, I've done it, but I gotta tell you, I'm not. It's left something to be desired.
Fair.
What other types of food do you have there? Like Indian food?
Sure, yeah, there's a lot of other Asian foods, going to Chinese food or Indian food or Nepalese food.
Ooh, Nepalese
anything
food
that's
sounds great.
not Asian.
Sometimes
Italian, pizza.
Sometimes there's an Italian
there's KFCs.
place.
There's lots of KFCs.
Also, just want to quick say Gundam to my head.
Oh, damn. I would say more like Gunpla. That's actually probably more relevant,
I didn't get it off earlier, and I just really wanted to sneak it in there, really make sure I could get it in there before the segment's over.
I do follow a Gundam store on TikTok, and man, that shit is fucking crazy.
I've never gunned the dumb, but it does seem like a whole fucking world. I mean, Josh, you're getting into 40K stuff.
I was going to say,
the Gundam stuff is a whole...
Oh, I'm aware.
AJ, you had thicker framed glasses.
I used to have thicker rimmed glasses,
and they're more square. These are round.
These are round wire frame glasses. Yes, India, exactly the difference. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm happy for you, India, for noticing that.
That's why me and AJ are so close.
Exactly. That's what the standing invite.
Standing invite.
Yeah. And I think on that high note, we should obviously this is a Malazan podcast, and we read
We're reading Toll the Hounds.
We read chapters 7 and 8 today, and I think on that high note we should get into it.
I agree.
Chapter 7. Harlow is walking outside of the city collecting dung. Krupp dwells on the pros and cons of childhood indifference. Snell is following Harlow. The healing marks of Ardatha, the spider goddess, are beginning to ensnare Mappo. He wants to go talk to Megora, but the Priest of Burn says he has another idea. But it won't be cheap. Sweetest Sufferance and other members of the Trigal Trade Guild are recovering from their latest trip in Quip's bar. Mappo finds the Trade Guild's carriage. He requests Master Quell and his party escort him to Lether. Mappo doesn't think Icarium fought Rulad. He would have felt it. Precious Thimble, Jula Bowl, and Ambi Bowl are Mott irregulars and shareholders that will accompany the guild in their mission with Mappo. Gorlis Viticus, Sheridan Lim, and Hannet Orr talk about a plot to put a nominee on the council in Darujistan. They're worried that coal might be a problem. Chalice is once again thinking about her life and how she ended up where she is. She considers a small orb with the light of the moon inside. She thinks of warning her father about her husband's plot, but knows he would dismiss it. Stoney Menakis is an instructor at a new dueling school. Gruntle shows up and brings up Harlow's adopted parents, and she tells him to stop. She says she's been giving money to Snell to help out, and that she can't bear to look at Harlow. Gruntle tells Stoney that he's going to join the Trigal Trade Guild, and that he'll send money her way so she can buy Harlow's family a new life. Snell knocks Harlow out and thinks of his world without Harlow. He has righted the world. Harlow is found by a shepherd who thinks about nursing Harlow back to health and selling him into slavery. Cutter thinks about his childhood and the path his life has taken. Murillo is feeling old. He tells Cutter he can see that someone has broken his heart. Cutter leaves before Rallick Nam can call for him. Rallick Nam feels like he's only been gone for a couple of days. He thinks about Cutter and says he's a fool for thinking he can change the world. Murillo fills Rallick in on what else happened the night of the fete, those years ago. Torvald Nam thinks about how his life has quickly gone back to normal. He's going to pay his debt to Garib using the money that he stole from Garib. Scorch and Lef will play the middlemen. Scorch and Lef talk about lists. They're in the Phoenix Inn waiting for Torvald. Krupp tells them that the 6 debtors they had found had mysteriously disappeared just before they'd been able to collect. Krupp offers to reunite Torvald with his cousin, but Torvald refuses. Duiker is sitting in the bar when a bard approaches him. They talk a bit about the bard's interpretations of Anamandaris. The bard introduces himself as Fisher and tells Duiker that the story of the Chain of Dogs will be better told through a bard, and that he will help write the songs through Duiker's eyes. It begins with you, and it ends with you. Picker and Blend are recovering from the effects of Coral's milk they drank the night before with Barathal's group. In the basement of Coral's bar, Blue Pearl asks a ghost who is trying to kill them. The ghost tells him to breach a cask. Faint of the Trigal Trade Guild watches the Bowls and Precious Thimble prepare to leave. Gruntle shows up, to Quell's dismay, to offer his services. Quell is hesitant, but Mappo says they'll need someone like Gruntle to help. They head out through the Warrens. Krupp zooms us out of the city of Blue Flame, telling us of various goings-on. He ends with Harlow being sold to an ironmonger for work in the mines. All right, gang.
I just want to quick get on the record. I think they are cousins, but perhaps in the way that like Barathol and Kalam are cousins, in which that they're like, you know, more distant, somewhat speculatively named people, you know?
Okay.
I don't know. What I mean is, I don't know if their parents were siblings.
Got it.
Know?
Okay, yeah.
I'm not 100%.
Okay, thank you. So we start this chapter with, Krupp actually pops up a lot throughout this chapter. Just kind of like chiming in and giving kind of an an overview. It's actually really helpful. I have the audiobook, but I have the book in front of me. And it's actually really helpful to hear the narrator switch to the Krupp voice for a section. I'm like, oh, okay, I know we're in Krupp's POV. But you just talk about Harlow running around. Snell is following him. He has this whole thing about children's capacity for indifference and their ability to dream and how that is like a good and bad thing. And then he says children can see farther than adults, both literally and figuratively. Pete, what do you think about this flowery language about the I guess innocence and possibility of youth at the beginning of this section?
Yeah.
A great question to ask you when you're fucking drained of all energy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, the Krupp musings, I feel like are value neutral, and then my opinion of them totally shifts or how much I'm tuned into it on like my energy on the day that I'm reading it or how much I get into it, you know, because I do think they can be a little inaccessible or annoying or whatever.
They're a bit indulgent.
Yeah, of course they're really indulgent, which is, you know, in character, but it's still indulgent, you know. I mean, there's only so many paragraphs that can really, you know, give you a chance.
Yeah. Then
on some days I read it, I'm like, oh, this is all, you know, I'm like, you know, hopping along the trail. So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, this is really on theme here with the type of innocence. And I think Harlow talking about innocence in a way is important to his character. So it's pretty connected to that. But it would be a lie if I was like, man, this really caught up in me, you know, so.
Yeah, it's really deep, really cut deep. So we move on to Mappo, who's got the markings. We move into the bar with the Triggle Trade Guild. We're introduced to a whole bunch of Trade Guild members.
A lot of people. Boom, boom, boom.
A lot of people. Mappo goes and meets them as well. And then we meet some bowls. Josh, do you get the same feeling like with all of these characters that you do with like the Bone Hunters and stuff when it's just a bunch of like people hanging out? Do you get like kind of the same vibes from that or no?
I get a very similar vibe, but also rethinking about this section. I do believe most of these people are going to die.
Rip.
So I enjoy it while it's here, but I don't think it's going to last.
Why do you say that?
Mostly because I was sitting here as you were mentioning, like we have some Bowl Brothers. I was like, why would we have Bowl Brothers? And I was like, well, probably because we know enough about them that he just needed like he needed to not have to introduce a whole section of lore. So yeah, there's some fucking Bowl Brothers here, but also like feels really hard. Like they're just going to die or something.
Yeah. They're going to do some huge magical explosion or something. And they're going to be like, I'm having a great time. And then just die.
Yeah, exactly. Or it'd be like the one from book 3, who's just like a fucking kleptomaniac, you know?
Oh yeah. Wow. I forgot about that. I can't wait to hop back to book 2 later in this section, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So then we hop over to Gorlus Viticus, the husband of Chalice Viticus. Josh, what was that for?
I just think he's insufferable, as are the other 2 duelists.
Yeah, they all think they're the smartest guy in the room.
They're great, though. They're really good.
We live in a world where someone could snap their finger and you could have all the blood drained from your body. Who gives a shit if you can wave a rapier well?
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
You have no respect for decorum, Josh.
Not in the slightest. I'm glad you've noticed.
So they have this whole plot to get somebody on the council to what? What's their goal here?
To take over the council.
Just to control.
It's a numbers
council.
game.
Yeah,
they have 3. If they get a 4th one, they're like closer. I don't know if the council is like, it's very ill-defined. Like, are they replacing somebody's seat or are they arguing to add a seat?
I thought they were replacing the old people. They want a whole new...
But I don't think they're like kicking someone out. You know what I mean? Unless they are, but they didn't seem to be talking about who they'd kick out. So I kept wondering, like, is there an open seat currently, or are they just trying to add seats to the council and kind of just like get enough on their side? Which that seems like weird that you can just add seats to the council.
Yeah, it seems like a big lift.
Yeah, it's a pretty big loophole.
Yeah, well, they talk about an upcoming vote, so I imagine maybe it's an older member.
Okay, like they're not going to start a vote, like there just is a vote. I see what you're saying. So then maybe they are replacing somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with doing that?
Kind of stuffing the ballot box in your favor. I mean, it's you're paying people to vote for a person that they wouldn't vote for, I guess. It's kind of morally dubious.
Wow. This is how the Democrats stole the election. Am I right, everybody?
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I was thinking.
Anybody? All right.
Not to dwell too long on this part, but India, what do you think about that cool orb with a moon in it? I think that shit's sick.
Yeah, that was the wedding gift, right?
Yeah, it's the wedding gift that she's using to purpose. She only keeps it to annoy her husband. I love that. I like it too. This chapter was actually pretty good. I like to see the different relationships in it. I don't know why Steve decided to listen to me after all of these books and throw in, even though it was already written, all of these different relationships. But I feel like this one sucks. This sucks. She literally just has spent her whole life a princess in a tower, and it's just really fucking shitty. Yeah. Do you
feels bad.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
Do you like getting this deeper view of her? Because in book 1, she was kind of just there for Crocus to do stuff. Or are you kind of rocking with this? She's a whole POV now.
I do rock with this. It's interesting to get like in her head, because she is just like in the first book, Crocus was just like an object of his obsession. Yeah, she is just a princess in a tower, right? And she's still kind of, it's interesting because like she still is, and she's aware of that. And she's like, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I like it. Do we think there's some huge payoff coming with Chalice? Like, is she going to do something wild?
Well, I'm waiting for her to run into fucking Cutter.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true, yeah.
Imagine they finally get their happy ending. I'd shit myself.
God, the dream. What's that then? Absalar walks back in. Absalar walks back in, husband. Sweeps Cutter off his feet.
He takes her out of her tower.
Oh my God.
In fairness, he is the only one that took her out of her tower, regardless of why and how he did it.
That's true.
He did kidnap her.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not expecting much. To be honest, from her character.
I'm hoping that she's not like a Nifidus from the last book, who I was like really, really into.
AJ, what name did you just say?
Yeah, who the fuck are you talking about, AJ?
She was the consort to Rulad.
Oh, she was there for a hot minute last book. I liked her, yeah.
I don't know. She was great. I was really into that storyline, and then she was just like
Malazan,
murdered.
book 7, consort.
It feels bad.
Nisal.
I miss her.
Yeah, it was great. I love that storyline. So I hope Chalice doesn't turn into that. I don't think it will, because we already know Chalice as a character. But anyway.
Also, those were like very different circumstances.
Yeah, obviously. But anyway.
I don't really see anything that could.
Well, I mean, they're both kind of the seated under a powerful man in a kingdom, I don't know. Anyway. So go see Stoney Manakis for the first time since book 3.
Yeah.
Gruntle's there, brings up Harlow.
Didn't we just see her last chapter?
We did not see her.
No, when they talk about her.
I thought in the Harlow intro we saw her. Am I just
no? They talk about her.
She explicitly doesn't go there.
Yeah. So that's this whole thing. We learn that she can't look at Harlow because it just makes her think of a rapist. But that she's been sending money to the family, the adopted family, but she's been going through Snell, and Snell has just been pocketing that shit.
How dumb do you have to be? That kid's a little shit.
I need to understand what adult says, I'm going to give money to a child for
exactly.
You couldn't coordinate with the fucking parents?
Well, that's true. But I also think it's like
shoot them a text.
I think the money wasn't part of their agreement, and she doesn't really want to see anybody. So Snell is just like outside of the house, and she's like, just take this and give this to your parents, please, and then just leaves. I think that's kind of more the situation, that she does not want to have to interact.
I agree. I think the remove is part of it. Yeah.
There's mail.
Yeah, she could just snail mail it. Yeah. What do you think?
I thought you meant mail, Mael.
I did too for a moment, and I was like,
I don't really see him working his way into this situation, buddy.
It seems sending like metal coins through the mail seems like it's a hassle and dangerous. You might as well just deliver it yourself. So yeah, they have this whole conversation. Stoney has given up on having a meaningful life. She's kind of just coasting and making money off these kids whose parents want them to be duelists. And then Gruntle says he wants to join the Churgal Trade Guild.
What is a duelist?
Someone who duels. Did you do that too?
No, I was just going to say someone who duels, but so they're just like
with a go ahead. Sorry.
They'll be like paid to fight in like a gladiator pit or something.
I don't know if they're getting paid. I think it's just like they do it for like.
Yeah, I feel like this is more of like a noble type fencing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at us, we're fancy.
Oh, okay.
But I
so it's
also
like,
in these books we have heard about people like, I'm pretty sure it's these books, India, where like basically you take offense at something someone has done and then you challenge them to a duel, and that can happen to you too. So a lot of these kids are being trained so that like if they get challenged, they don't fucking beef it hard. I feel like one of the books had someone that just did this all the time, but I might be mixing it up with a different fucking fantasy series.
No one jumps to mind.
I actually think it might be from book 1, but I'm not positive.
Maybe.
Don't worry about it.
Maybe.
I feel like Marilia duels somebody who is like, but I could be super wrong, so just keep going.
No,
Yes,
there is.
It is in the
Animander Rake is there.
Yeah, Getteran's Fet thing.
It's the party.
Yeah.
It was at the party.
Damn.
Good call.
Nice one, guys. I do not remember that. It's almost as if that was 7 books ago.
Almost.
So, Pete, what did you make of the scene between Gruntle and Stoney? Did you like it? What did you think of this?
Awesome scene. One of my favorite scenes in the chapter, and
nice.
like this is totally fucking my shit. Just two people who I am really invested in their character, learning about what's been going on. I love that we kind of learn about Stoney's interiority and how this has kind of traumatized her and what's going on in her life. Mm-hmm. And to kind of just have this moment of conflict in a way between two characters who obviously have this history that we have a history with, and that like I feel really invested in their well-being. So this is a great scene. I think I love this scene. So I love both these characters a tremendous amount. You know, I'd like Gruntle in Memories of Ice fine. I'd like Gruntle in this book way more. I'm way more interested in Gruntle as like, it's got a very like working class
right. He's
vibe,
just kind of a dude,
you know.
Yeah,
and he's like doing a job. You know, it's like here he is.
Yeah.
You know,
and he says he's going to make all this money with the guild so that Stoney can send it to Harlow. And then
he's a good guy. He's supporting a kid.
He's just supporting a kid. Mm-hmm. But then we go see Harlow. Oops, he gets knocked out.
Oops,
that sucks. I hate it a lot. And then a shepherd finds Harlow. I really did like the Snell like POV of like, you know, that section ends with he had righted the world, and I do kind of like the journey that Snell goes on of like, this is how this will go down, and then I will be the one that is, you know, because we never really had a reason, or I don't think that like why Snell hated Harlow. It was kind of just like because we only saw it through Harlow's POV, so it's like this guy hates me. I don't get it. But then to get from Snell's POV, it's like this is why I hate this kid because he's taken my family. Which I don't know, I think is just kind of a kid thing to think, you know? But if you give a kid some stones and a little bit of malice, then that shit can turn south real fast.
Can I just take us on a quick detour?
Sure.
I was looking through picture books the other day.
Okay.
And you know the classic picture book, if you give a mouse a cookie.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
You know.
He'll want a glass of milk.
And then, you know, he'll want to come inside and yada, yada. So is the moral of this story you shouldn't help people? And because they're like all fucking mooches and are just going to want more and more if you ever give anyone anything. I couldn't help but feel like, and then, you know, I read like, you know, if you give a monkey a banana, I don't know, there's a billion of these things. That wasn't one of them.
Maybe the moral is
if you give a cat a pancake, it's something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe the moral is you just don't feed mice because then they'll bring more mice over.
Because mice are fucking gross.
Because mice are gross.
But I don't think that's a really generous reading.
Pete, I got to tell you, I mean, last time I read that was probably the last time you had read it before this most recent reading. So it's been a while.
Yes, 100%. This is my first time ever reading it as an adult.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we do once we're done the 10 books. We get really deep into child lit.
We take a hard pivot into child lit.
A hard pivot.
I got to tell you, it would probably make a much easier production-wise on the show.
I'm going to read this book 20 minutes before we start.
Roll up, read one picture book.
Yeah.
You know?
God, it sounds incredible.
Yeah. So then a shepherd finds Harlow, thinks about taking him back, is like, you know, I could nurse this kid back to health. I was like, oh, thank goodness, we're going to still have a Harlow POV. And then he's like, and then I will sell him into slavery. And I was like, oh, yeah, fuck me. Yeah. This sucks. Bummer. Big sad.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, bad vibes. And then we get some more ruminating on past life and childhood and stuff from Cutter. India, what'd you think about this? Cutter's talking to Murillo about like the futility, or he thinks about the futility of giving love, and Murillo's like, someone's broken your heart, I can tell. What'd you think of this?
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of it. Your whole storyline can't be, I was like this sweet little whatever, and then someone broke my heart after they made me a ruthless killer, and now all I can be is a ruthless killer, and love isn't real, and I'm so over it. I'm so over it. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. I'm done with it.
Bro, you're coming in hot.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Do you not agree? I feel like this is a cold take. I feel like everybody can agree that Crocus is fucking annoying.
Peter canonically loves Cutter as like the best character in the
canonically
series.
The best character.
I'm
so
not calling him Cutter either. It's not that's not his name. I'm not doing that either.
Wow.
You're right. He's Cutter now. He can't go back. This Crocus doesn't exist anymore. He's a changed man.
Jesus.
I don't know. I actually I'm pretty hard against that, India. Mostly because I don't know. Have you never gone back somewhere? Did you not go back home after college and be like, wow, I'm fucking not in this world anymore and I never will be again?
No, I stayed there for 5 years.
All right, well, I'm happy. I'm happy for you. When I go home, I'm struck with like an immense sense of longing for the fact that like all of my high school friends who didn't do anything are all still like this super tight friend group, and I will just never be there again. So like, I get it. Like Crocus is like, I've been out of these people's lives for like 4.5 years, and like, yeah, they'll let me back in, but it's not the same.
I raise you. If I changed my personality every time someone broke my heart, I wonder how many names I would have by now.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
But have you thought about trying it?
Yeah.
We're just creating a whole new persona.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I actually have.
could be effective.
Just starting a new identity.
I've been talking about that in therapy. No, but yeah, fucking annoying. Hated it. No, I want your point though. Do you agree with me, AJ?
Me?
Or do you agree with everyone else?
I don't know. I think it's a little, I don't know. I just like Cutter, I think, as a character. I think he's a little insufferable a bit, but I think there's a far more insufferable character later on in the next chapter. But Cutter doesn't really bug me so much. I get why he's thinking so much about this, but I do think that I don't know, because he did this in book 6 as well. After Absalar disappears, he has this whole rumination on like, my heart's broken. There's no point to love. I'm just going to murder now. It's like, it feels like this like faux air of like jadedness, you know, like he feels like this is how he should feel because somebody broke his heart. It doesn't actually feel genuine to me. So that's a bit annoying, but it doesn't really bug me a whole lot.
I mean, I think it's annoying, but part of the reason I've loved Cutter, I obviously really identify with the character in a lot of ways. And I think like he's a character who is obviously annoying in many senses, but him not getting over himself is his primary antagonism. You know,
yeah.
It's like, bro, get over it and have a nice time with your buddies at the bar. You know, like just like fucking cool it. You know, why don't you? Can you just like have a nice moment, or like it's okay. Like these things are just, you know what? But he is just so distraught.
Yeah, he's so in his own world, and he was in his own world in Gardens of the Moon, but that world was like, I'm a dummy, and now he's still in this own world, but it's like, I'm a hardened killer, and I'm you know, like nobody likes me. And it's like, that's just not true, buddy. Like people really like you.
Yeah,
if you just spoke to them and
totally out of touch with
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which I think, completely makes sense for his character because, you know, like I just said, he was out of touch in the first book, but in a kind of different way. And now he's still out of touch and he's still that dumb little kid, but he's just, he's got a knife. He's got a knife now, you know, like.
Yeah. He's got a knife.
He's got a knife. So he leaves Murillo because he doesn't want to talk to Rallick Nom. And then Rallick Nom's like, get me Cutter. And he's like, no, he left. He's like, oh, okay. And then we realize that Rallick has...
honestly, hold on. Oh. Can I say... I want to pop in. I love that Cutter left.
Okay.
Like that is I think that's a cool character moment that like everyone, like I love that Rallick's like, and then Cutter will come back and then we'll have this nice talk. And like, I love that moment for Rallick of like, fuck me, I am out of the game. Yeah. I have fully misjudged this kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also almost murdered me 8 hours ago.
Right. I do love that. And I think it really speaks to kind of how, you know, Cutter has changed, obviously, but also how kind of the city has changed and that how Rallick doesn't have a grasp on anything that's going on anymore because it's been years. It's been years. And then, we end that section off with Murillo being like, oh, that's right. Like, you don't know what happened the rest of the night. So let's recap, which, we'll come back to Rallick next time, I guess, and he'll be fully caught up, which is neat. And then from one nom to the next, Torvald's sitting in bed. His wife, nom. His wife's throwing some clay. He thinks about being a citizen again. She has this really funny line about the new style of pottery being clumsy and asymmetrical because everyone wants an ant in the country. I thought that was so really funny. Good. But yeah, so Torvald's he's going to take the money that he stole from Garib to go pay Garib back. Cool. And then they're going to be rich, I guess. He says he's going to go tell Scorch and Left this, and his wife is not into it. She says, do not get involved with them. And then we switch over to Scorch and Left and realize that Torvald was the brains of that operation. They have a whole conversation about lists. Scorch is like, Torvald was the brains, and then Left, you tried to be the brains, but you're just not smart, which I thought was also a really good line. Yeah, and then, that's pretty much it. Did anybody get anything from this scene? I didn't really feel a whole much about, I don't know. I guess
it's nice. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nice that he's back with his family, he's back with his wife, and he feels like he can have a regular life again.
I do think it's funny when Scorch and Left talk about how they found 6 people that Krupp gave them, but then Krupp just keeps disappearing them to get them out of there. I think that's pretty great.
Mysteriously disappearing.
And how they're so dumb. They're like, who could be knowing about this? The only people who know are us two and this guy.
Yeah.
We'll never figure it out.
Yeah.
So good.
Scorch and Left are good.
They're pretty good.
They're welcome characters.
Yeah. And then from one good pair to another, we go from Scorch and Left to Picker and Blend. Just talking about how they drank they're recovering from the previous night. And then later on in the chapter, they talk about how the Quarrel Milk basically made them have an orgy. Yeah, Josh. Yeah, what?
Can I ask a question? Does anyone else constantly not remember the specified gender for fucking any of these Malazans?
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
I know Mallet is a dude, and I do not ever remember any of the other ones, and I constantly have to go back and search for pronouns because I'm so lost.
Josh, it's not only pronouns. I forget characteristics of these soldiers.
Oh, there's none. Look, I'm on record. I can't imagine almost anybody, and these people are all a bearded man in their 40s. Well, until they're a woman, and then they're a name, and that is all I've got for them. I cannot imagine anything else.
Josh, you don't picture them all as busty babes?
No, I sincerely tried to imagine it really fucks with me in these books now that I've noticed it about myself. I sincerely tried to imagine 2 female images for Picker and Blend and fully could not, and just gave up.
You can't imagine a woman? That's just not.
That's what I'm saying. No, we realized this first book. I can't imagine faces.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not a face, but
and it really messes with me.
You've met a person before.
But why would I have a body if I can't have a face? I'm gonna forget their bodies in a minute. But I've got no characteristics in mind for this.
I mean, not to get too deep into this, but people have varying degrees of being able to picture stuff in their head. There's that whole apple test. Can you picture an apple and then
I feel like we've talked about this on the podcast 7 times.
I think it's come up. I don't think we've gotten this deep into it, but Josh has said that he can't picture people.
I'm not trying to put him on blast. I just think I think it's funny that.
Yeah.
Is it? What is this? Is it about aphantasia?
Yes. Yeah.
It is. All right. I'm going to do this while you guys talk.
Aphantasia? Are you doing a fucking fuck us? And India's talking to someone. Just Peter and AJ on the mic today.
It's Pete and AJ. And you know what, Pete? We're moving on to what I know is your favorite part of this chapter. Is we're with Duiker, and this bard shows up. Who's this bard? It's Fisher Keltath.
Oh my god!
Hell yeah, we did it.
Oh my god! Everyone's fucking gone. India, what's up? Fisher's in the book.
Yeah. I don't really care about Duiker or the fisherman.
Yeah, fair enough. Josh, I know that you really care about the Fisher.
I love Fisher Keltath. I love this scene. Honestly, I found this scene touching.
I liked this scene a lot. I thought it was
very nice. I feel so bad for Duiker. He's got these thoughts in his head. He can't get rid of them. He knows that it's his duty to, communicate them to the world for the sake of history. And I love Fisher Keltath being you're gonna kill yourself if you try to put this in a factual way, because like he said, he sees the faces. I thought it was awesome. 10 out of 10 scene. Cannot wait for the end of the book or end of the series when there's just a whole giant 17-page long poem that's all of book 2. Yeah. Can't wait.
I feel like it's a very meta thing about you got this thing that's so heavy on you and you got to get it out through art. There's no other way to do it, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Pete, I know you.
Why did you like the scene, AJ?
Oh, I mean,
it's funny. I didn't know you like it. I got on the mic and was bashing the scene.
Well, see,
but here,
the thing, before we turn it back on me, why I liked it, Pete, I know you didn't like the introduction of Fisher and like as this like mythic character who's just kind of like dropped into like, you know, the series or whatever. But like, what did you think of the scene as a whole, like the sentiment and stuff? Like, what did you think about?
No, as I said, I think the scene's good, and I like the Duiker stuff in this chapter. Duiker. The frustration I voiced to AJ earlier was that I feel like sometimes in the series, it's just like there's a lot of hype about a character, and we don't really have a reason to care about them or invested in them or like interested in them as a person. It's just like we're told a lot about them. And I was, some part of me is like, okay, cool, this is Fisher, who cares? It's like, don't get me wrong. I really liked this reveal the first time I read it. And I was like, ooh, I know who Fisher Keltath is. Look at me, big brain Pete, I don't know. Some part of me is like, I don't know. Listen, I like him in this book and I like what's done. And I like this scene, but
yeah.
I am pretty devastated with this whole conversation right now. We've done these epigraphs for 7 fucking books, and all I've done for 7 books is be excited to see Fisher.
Now you're a fucking idiot, Josh.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, yeah.
But here's my contrast. I feel like connected to Crocus or Gruntle or these people as human beings, and like, I feel like I'm connected to Fisher as myth,
But I feel like he's part of the world, Like, I like the Malazan world, so therefore he is such a huge cornerstone of the mythos that, like, I have to be excited to finally see him.
Yeah.
I'm excited in a way that, like, I'm excited when Boba Fett's on screen,
Why the fuck would you care about Boba Fett, dude?
Okay, whatever, bro.
Django till I die.
Okay. Okay. Fuck you.
Nice.
AJ, like cut that.
Wait, why?
I cannot have that on there.
God damn it.
Nah, you really could, man.
AJ, bleep it.
Okay.
Real quick, I have not found D's nut jokes funny ever, but recently, me and my Pathfinder group of mostly dads has really stumbled into a whole world of incredibly complex setups for those jokes.
Nice.
And cannot fucking get enough of them.
Nice. I love the complex setups.
You love D's nuts.
Yeah. I saw one yesterday and it was like, some guy was like, he has homebrewed a bunch of monsters, and one of them he has named Mind Goblins, just so that one day a player might go, what's a Mind Goblin? And he can go, Mind Goblin these nuts! And that's comedy gold. It's such a long con.
Yeah.
I don't know, Josh. I don't know, buddy.
Yeah.
I just think they're funny.
So I also love this scene.
Before we move on, last point, AJ, truck nuts, good or bad?
Truck nuts bad.
Wow.
Truck nuts bad.
India truck nuts?
Lug nuts.
Lug nuts. Lug nuts good.
Nuts?
Yeah, lug nuts essential for many machinery.
Truck nuts India are like these like resin cast.
To be born in New York and not have to know what truck nuts are. What a fucking blessing.
They're just like these.
People use truck nuts in New York.
These plastic testicles that you can hook onto the back of your truck's hitch. And people call them, and they're truck nuts because they're just, they're nuts on your truck.
I remember at the age of 7, I watched my uncle get a pair for Christmas, and that just really set the stage for the rest of my life with my family.
That's funny.
Mixed nuts.
So this Duiker fucking scene.
Mixed nuts, amazing.
Mixed nuts, very good.
Mixed nuts, good, yeah.
Best.
I love grabbing a Brazilian nut out of a mixed nut and be like, oh yes, the nut that I would never eat on its own, but that is great in a mixed nut.
Disagree. I just feel like the Brazilian nut.
You hate the Brazilian nut.
I'm gonna Google Brazilian nuts, and that could be a mistake. Let's see.
Brazilian truck nuts.
Brazilian truck nuts.
So this scene with Duiker and Fisher, I really, really enjoyed for the same reasons that Josh did, of just the like, there are other ways to tell histories. Like we don't have to just do this like straight up and down, like here is what happened. Like their art is a perfectly valid way to interpret things and stuff. So I liked it. I liked it a whole lot. And I liked it begins with you, it ends with you, because I think that's also part of it is if Duiker was writing the history as it happened, I think he would kind of leave himself out because it's not a historian's job to write about their point of view, or to write about themselves rather. It's just about recounting the things they saw, but I think Duiker being able to kind of insert himself into the story, which I think is an important thing, for him and for the story and for him to kind of deal with it, to kind of be able to see himself, go through these events, I think will be really good closure for him, honestly. So I really love it.
Kind of processing that trauma in a way.
Right. Exactly. So then I just need a quick clarification on this scene. Blue Pearl is underneath the bar and a ghost shows up and the ghost is like, hey, what's up? And he's like, why are you here? Do you know who's trying to kill us? And he's like, nope. And that's kind of all I got from that scene. He says something about breaching a cask, which I imagine means that there's probably Kellic in those barrels. But Pete, is there anything that, I don't know. Never mind. Hold on.
I'm not going to say anything.
India, did you get anything else out of this scene?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's what
I think you guys really just hit the nail on the head there.
You were really tuned into our conversation there, were you?
Exactly. You guys really were just hitting all the points that I was thinking of.
Blue Pearl talks to the ghost underneath the bar, and it's just kind of a weird thing, and I didn't really understand fully what was going on.
I same here.
Okay.
Made no sense.
Okay. I'm glad we're all kind of in the same confusion bubble. And then finally, Gruntle shows up and is like, I'm joining the guild as a shareholder. Master Quell's like, I don't know about that. Mappa's like, no, we need another big dude. Let's go. And then they leave. Cool. I'm excited for that storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Me too.
Yeah. And then Krupp gives us this whole grand overview of the city. And we end the chapter with Harlow, poor little Harlow, being sold into slavery in an iron mine. Do we think it's the same ironmonger from earlier in the book?
It's definitely the iron mine that has just been sold to that duelist. There's no doubt.
Oh, right.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Well, wait, but do we think, Josh, is that iron mine, that iron mine's connected to the ironmonger?
Yeah. It was sold. It was sold by the weird ironmonger who's trying to kill the Malazans. Almost assuredly.
Okay. Oh man. That's going to be a sad arc if Harlow comes back into the city and gets murdered.
Well, I'm going to hope that doesn't happen.
As a child soldier, that would suck.
Yeah.
Anyway, any other thoughts about this chapter before we move on to something else? Cool. Before we move on to the next chapter, we would like to thank our lovely people on Patreon. I'm just going to go through these real quick because we only have a couple because we've only recorded 6 days ago. Thank you so much to Steven, Lance, and Cole Bladnir for backing us on Patreon. And thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. We just released the 10 Very Big Books Raw and Uncut episode this past week.
Raw and Uncut.
And I guess at this point it'll be 3 weeks ago. So there should also be another, there should be a Star Trek Journey, Voyage Home. Is that what it is? Was that the one we watched, Pete? I don't remember.
It's the Whales one.
The Whales
number 4.
One. Yeah,
I don't know the
It's
number.
got the whales. So that one should also be up there by the time that this episode comes out. And you can get access to those by just becoming a $1 patron on our Patreon.
Which, listen, I'll just spoil that. That movie rules. If you haven't seen that movie, treat yourself. Check out that film.
Yeah, we've had a couple conversations with Nate, our friend Nate, about the original Star Trek series, and it's good.
Star Trek, good, actually.
Yeah. All
right, let's move on.
Yes. Let's move on to the next chapter, shall we?
We shall.
Chapter 8. Samar, Dev, and Traveler continue on the path to find Karsa. Samar tells Traveler that Karsa killed Rulad, but that she doesn't think he took the sword for himself. Thinking of the Toblakai, Traveler feels pangs of regret and pain. On a roving caravan, the captain thinks about his city on wheels. They've been on the move for 7 years straight, and they only stop now for a lone man who's been slaying their raiding parties. The captain requests Karsa join him for dinner before he dies. He has found his heir. On the carriage heading to Bastion, Desra tells Nimander to ask Arantha to look at Clip. Arantha magically throws Kalor off the carriage, leaving him shaken. She asks Nimander if he can feel her now. Endis Salon thinks about the madness caused after the abandonment by Mother Dark. He thinks of a great black river in Karkanis, Dorson Rill. He asks Nimander Rake if he can visit a river outside Coral that's said to be similar to Dorson Rill. Rake lets him go, but tells Endis that it is just a deep river. Rake tells Spinnock to make a journey. They talk of Idkovian, the Redeemer, and his position as a new god. Rake says the Redeemer isn't a proper god because he lacks the ability to deny his followers. He wonders what would be needed to redress this imbalance. Rake tells Spinnock to give his regards to the priestess. Spinnock goes to the Temple of Dark and talks with the High Priestess. She asks if he will die in Animander's stead, and he says yes. He realizes that Rake wanted him to go see the priestess of the Redeemer, Selind. Selind is tired of being a High Priestess. She feels like she can do nothing for her god. Spinnock arrives and notices that she is sick. She says all of her followers are. He pledges to send healers and will take her back to Black Carl to be cared for. She reveals that she's a child of the dead seed. She tells Spinnock that she is sick because the Redeemer is sick. Munkrat tells Gradathan, a former Urdaman of the Panyan Empire, that Spinnock has taken Salind from the Barrow. Now they're free to do as they please. Solana hears these threats. Nimander thinks about his siblings' upbringing. They were basically raised by Endis until Andoris showed up and took them to Drift Avali to train them as perfect killing machines. Nimander thinks this dying god is a child, lashing out. Calor talks about the scarecrows and the fact that the plants are not even native to this world. Skintick and Calor argue about whether or not things change. Calor reveals that he's puzzled out that they are the children of Animander Rake, having been Rake's ally over the years. Soon enough, the group comes across some ruins, where they find a Jagat, who invites Calor, Skintick, and Nimander in for some tea. The Jaghut says he's killed 43 Talani Mass and a Bonecaster, and that he has talked to the wolf gods not too long ago. He says Raced is one of his offspring. The giant grabs Calor's wrist and threatens him, telling him the tower they're in is a dormant Azath house, but that it could be reactivated simply enough. Calor reveals the Jaghut to be Gothos. Nimander and Skintick have been poisoned by the tea. Nimander falls through a wall through Amtos Falak. Desra thinks about strong and weak people, thinking that Nimander is one of the worthy ones. Calor returns to the carriage and tells them Gothos has Nimander and Skintick. Skintick awakes in a world with an angered sun that has killed everything. He comes back to the tower, and Gothos calls him a bad choice. Nimander is rescued from thousands of spirits by the Elder, a childlike giant who's been building houses for Gothos. Nimander tells Elder to build a tower in his pit, surrounded by the blood of dragons. Nimander plans to sacrifice himself for Elder's freedom. Gothos admits to drugging the Andii and tells Desra to tell Rake each time he chose wisely, and that he alone holds Gothos' respect. Calor says Jaghut cannot be trusted. Elder and Nimander finish the house. Nimander thinks he would reason with the Angry Eater and Andii spirits. Elder and the tower are teleported away, and Nimander is rescued by Desra. Gothos is concerned and says dragons don't play games. Arantha tells Calor she needs to talk to Gothos. Karsa denies his heirship to the captain's throne. The captain dies, telling Karsa, "You could have lied." Karsa sets the carriage on fire and tells everyone to leave and to live well, but to know that he will come to destroy them one day. Traveler and Samar Dev talk of Traveler's past with the Malazan Empire. In the distance, the pair sees the flaming carriage. Traveler tells Samar he is afraid of Karsa Orlong. And she understands. All right. Chapter 8, baby. We're here.
The grass is always greener.
Is that a As Told by Ginger intro reference? Is that how that song goes?
That was a Katy Perry reference. Did you know Katy Perry third most followed account on Twitter?
Why?
No.
Isn't that pretty crazy?
That's pretty crazy. I mean, I guess she started becoming big like around when Twitter also became big. So there's probably a lot of residual follows from that.
Just seems like I would have never guessed, you know?
Yeah, I would have never guessed, definitely.
Also would have never guessed.
So this chapter, Josh, would you have...
Josh, though, would you really tuned into the KP life?
So Traveler and Saren are continuing to travel. They're following Karsa. They're looking for Karsa, rather. They talk about Rulad, and I didn't think about this until right now. She doesn't know what happened in the Warren with the crippled god. So that's fun. And then Traveler has these thoughts about the Toblakai, about regret and pain. Josh, what did you make of all this whole conversation about Karsa's journey and how cool and rad he is?
Well, he is definitely cool and rad. I'm very curious to see. I don't know. Traveler feels like Karsa, but what if humanity, empathy,
Yeah, okay.
the ability to feel remorse. So I'm pretty excited. What?
Karsa does feel remorse.
I don't think Karsa regrets anything, nor do I think he would change anything he's ever done. He simply goes, maybe next time I see this situation again, I would maybe do something different. And I don't think that counts as remorse.
I agree.
Whatever.
Listen,
So
I'm not a Karsa fan. I somewhat agree with Angier, so.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
A podcast divided once again.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm excited to see them meet. I think this was a cool conversation. Mm-hmm. Also, really curious, like how Karsa got here, and also how long it took Samar Dev to get here, because like that would help us understand the timeline between last book and this book, maybe. And I'm sure it will never be addressed.
Yeah. And just a quick clarification. They're in 7 cities still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Just double checking.
No. Sorry. They're on Ganabakis. They're with everybody else, dude.
They are with
They're
everybody
all on the
else.
same continent.
Okay.
Yep.
So they had to take a whole boat trip.
Assumedly, unless they just Warren traveled, but that seems more fraught with danger these days.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of travel, we move on to meet everybody's new favorite character, the Captain.
The Captain.
India, what do you think about this scene? We meet this captain. He's kind of got a city on wheels. He's a shitty dude who's just been being pulled for 7 full years. And then he sees Karsa in the distance and is like, oh, I'm dying. What'd you think?
Okay. The captain, let's be fair to the captain.
Okay.
Because the captain, yes, is a piece of shit. We get that. Mm-hmm. But granted, the captain is also insane.
Sure.
So
Bad shit crazy.
Actually crazy, like mentally ill.
Yeah.
So like, first of all, how did he even get to power? And second of all,
he doesn't even know.
That the fact that he was even able to convince 1,000 people, or to enslave.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. Convincing is the right word.
It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Really shitty though.
Yeah.
Don't like him very much, but also a moving city.
It's cool.
Is kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Had big Mad Max vibes.
Big Mad Max.
We can never stat, must always be moving.
I never seen Mad Max.
Oh, you should watch Mad Max Fury Road. It's a great movie.
Also reminded me a lot of the fucking thing in Dragnipur that we saw in the beginning.
The carriage?
Yep. Reminded me of the big wagon that can never stop moving.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I did this wagon stops moving, and then the captain immediately just starts bleeding. Did I read that right? He just
well, because remember Karsa destroys magic just with his presence. So he walked through and he unchains things.
Well,
so
I knew
he
that.
just fucking through his presence unchained the spirits that were attached to the captain, and therefore all of his old wounds just reopened.
Wow, Josh,
and so,
nice.
and the only so he's only held alive by magic,
yes, 100%.
And to be fair, I think the people there's spirits, inside that came inside of him, to keep him alive. For what reason? Do we know?
No, because he was nailed to the
body.
ground, and there were ants, and I don't know.
They used his body to, get the ability to influence the mortal world.
Right, to be alive again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
This poor guy.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was like who he was before,
Yeah.
Yeah, he wonders that too, India.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get kind of a history of the captain, or do you think it's just going to be left he was a guy who was nailed to the ground?
I think there's entirely a chance that we saw him in like book 3 or some shit, like they passed by some poor asshole crucified to the ground or something,
Could he have been from the Chain of Dogs?
No, we're on a different continent.
God fucking damn it. Yes, you're right. Jesus
Here,
Christ.
I'll just look it up real quick. The Captain Malazan told the
And we'll know if it's important if Peter yells, "Do not look it up."
Oh. No.
Okay.
We're good.
All right. Anyway, so from one
Captain, my captain.
There you go, Pete. Thank you.
He only appears in this one single chapter.
Great. Perfect. That's all I needed to know.
More like Kyle MacLachlan, am I right?
Yeah, dude. Twin Peaks. Desperate Housewives.
That was a How I Met Your Mother reference, baby. Boom.
I know nothing. Every reference you guys ever
Pretty sure
make,
you mean Bazinga, Peter. I've seen a sitcom.
So from one carriage,
I know that one.
From one carriage to the next, we go and
guys, who do you think's the young Sheldon of Malazan?
Jesus Christ! Actually, I think Namander might be the young Sheldon of Malazan. Actually,
oh yeah.
For a moment, I thought you were going to say Harlow, and I was like, I haven't seen the show. I think it's a different vibe.
Speaking of Namander.
Yeah, so speaking of Namander, we head over to meet Namander and et al. And Calor. Don't forget Calor's with them.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about
the gang's
that.
all here.
Yeah, they talk about, they're skeptical about Calor. Desra wants Arantha to look at Clip. Sure. And then I'm kind of fuzzy about what happened exactly. I think Calor tried to get onto the carriage and then Arantha just like yeeted him away. Is that?
Nah, he tried to touch her butt.
He tried to touch her butt. Okay, great. Why?
Because that's what he do.
He sees a butt, he has to grope it. Yeah.
We'll come back to that in a minute. And then we head back to Carcanis. Or no. Are we in Carcanis or are we in Black Coral? We're in Carcanis.
We're in Black Coral.
Black Coral.
He's thinking about Carcanis and the river Dorson Roll.
These fucking Tiste Andii thinking about their lives really fucks me up every single time. It gets me all fucked up about the where and when of the story.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Endis thinks about this river. There's a big river that was in Carcanis. There's also one that's around Coral that's also kind of big and maybe the same river. Who knows? Rake sends him on his way. There's a bunch of tapestries in the hallway depicting various moments in Andii history.
Where is this? What is this that we're in?
Black Coral. So it's where the final battle in Memories of Ice was.
Okay.
The Andii have taken it over. It's like it's that city in the side of a mountain.
Moonspawn died?
Yes, because Moonspawn crashed and they needed somewhere to go.
Got it.
Yeah.
And now they're having a bad time.
And now they're having a bad time. And I think they're still having a bad time. I don't think the Andii have ever been ones to have a good time.
Not before Mother Dark.
No, not since the incident.
Not since Mother Dark.
And then India, I guess Pete, Rake and Spinnock have this whole conversation about Idkovian and Capistan and the Redeemer and stuff. And Rake has this whole sentiment of if the Redeemer cannot deny, then he is trapped in a state of imbalance. Just in terms of like he's unable to tell his followers no. What'd you think about this whole convo?
I mean, I think Animander needs to check himself, is my opinion. I mean, like, did he even read Memories of Ice? Don't you know that, like, people be saying shouldn't give compassion to everyone, but it's like we should give it freely to everyone. But it's like apparently Animander didn't do the reading. I don't think he's really full in on what Idkovian's about.
Yeah,
and kind of how to live a good life and be giving.
Yeah,
but whatever, man. To each their own.
Yeah. So then Rake tells Spinnock to go to talk to the High Priestess. Spinnock misunderstands, goes to Doink.
Can I just say, did anyone how did this motherfucker misunderstand? Like, it was, come on. We all knew where he was supposed to go.
I guess. I don't know.
Why would they be talking about the Redeemer and then he should be like, go to the High Priestess and he goes to the fucking the High Priestess of not the Redeemer?
It's the High Priestess that he's been talking to this whole time, The High Priestess of Dark, I think, is equally as important to Animander Rake as the Redeemer.
Right, but is the High Priestess of Dark as important to the fucking Redeemer? the subject of their conversation?
I guess so, man. I thought he went to the right spot, but I guess I'm a dummy too.
No, it's okay. Spinnock's pretty smart. You're okay, buddy.
So India, Spinnock heads to the Temple of Dark. I guess the priestesses just want to fuck all the time because Torvald Galanes was all goofed. What'd you think about that kind of realization? Did it confuse you? Because it confused me.
So I wasn't confused. I was just like, this kind of does make sense because
why
they do be fucking, you know?
Yeah.
But also, like, what's the point?
Right. Okay. So it makes sense because they have been. Okay, got it. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Josh, what do you think about the fucking?
Josh, whatever do you think about the fucking?
Look, whatever gets them through it, I guess that's what they need.
Sure.
I'm happy for them that after 13,000 years of existence, they still get some joy out of it, you know?
Yeah. Well, actually, in this scene, she tells Spinnock that actually she does not get any joy out of it.
I think she usually does. This time was a little weird. You know, his head was in a different space.
Yeah. You can feel that energy, you know? You can tell something's off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't.
Anyway, I just wanted to touch on that pretty quick, but then we head over to the actual priestess that Spinnock was supposed to talk to.
Dying in a hovel. Classic.
Yeah, she's sick. They're all sick. And then she reveals she's a child of the dead seed, which stinks.
Pretty dramatic scene.
Pretty dramatic scene. Yeah, Pete, what'd you make of this scene? I'm sick because he's sick, you know?
It's a pretty intense scene, I got to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. I kind of just, you know, I enjoy that it's following up on some of, you know, this is, there are these weird elements here where it feels like the most direct, like we're really following up on a lot of stuff in this book, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what I think makes a difference is not that it's like following up and that like, oh, we're continuing a storyline from Dead House Gates to House of Chains, is that I feel like this is more about aftermath or consequences or like, you know, the fallout of the things. So,
yeah,
that's something I thought about with this scene.
Yeah. I mean, with this whole book, like we're 400, almost 500 pages in right now. And I don't feel like we're like building to a conflict in a way that I feel like we have in every other book, you know? I think saying that this is an aftermath, I think is a really like kind of putting a fine point on it.
Yeah, that's a good call. We're like 8 chapters in, and I don't know what could possibly be the big thing in this book yet.
Yeah.
Which is impressive.
That's the standard, though. No, we never know, guys, to be fair.
Well, Gardens of the Moon, you don't know, right? But like Dead House Gates, the conflict is really quick. Like the whole Chain of Dogs, the third book, you know it's going to be the fight in Pale. Some of the other ones, you're right, India. Like we don't know some of them. But this one, like there are so many threads. Any one of them could lead to a huge conflict, and I would not be shocked.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm really confused. Are you saying there's going to be some sort of large conflict in the book?
That's what I'm saying. Every other one has had that, unless I'm mistaken.
No,
and this is the first one where I'm like, I don't know what it could be.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Technically, the last book didn't have one.
I mean, it had it was leading to one.
I think India's right.
India's right. It was leading to one, and then it got, ripped out from under us. But there was a conflict being led to.
Right. That's more my point, is that there was like some sort of like at least semi-clear like ending destination, you know, like even if the payoff wasn't,
but it wasn't
exactly
clear, guys. We did. Oh. Yeah, I guess.
Well, we knew.
I mean, they were always going to end up in the capital.
Right. They were all heading toward Lether. Even in like House of Chains, we knew the sisters were going to meet up. In Midnight Tides, we knew that it was the Eater against the Lether. You know, Bone Hunters.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Bone Hunters is another example of one that didn't. You could not have guessed where the final conflict was going to be.
But you still knew because we were with an army. You know, we were with the army, and obviously they were going to go fight something. Like in this book, it's just a whole lot of. It's exactly what Pete said. It's a lot of follow up. It's a lot of aftermath. You know, which it's pretty interesting.
For the record, into it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm having a great time with all these characters and then this story. But is there a clear destination? Not even a little bit.
I appreciate it and I don't appreciate it. How the chapters are like separated by like whatever's going on with Tiste Andii and like that other person Clip and group, that's like always one chapter where they just like go around that issue. And then the other chapter is always like what the regular people are doing, like Cutter and Scalara and Krupp. You know, I like that he's been separating it, because those are like, so like, for example, chapter 7, I enjoyed. Chapter 8, I did not.
Right.
Because the Tiste Andii stuff bothers me.
Right.
So it's like,
fair.
But I do like that he separated it that way, because at least like I can really get through one chapter and be like, wow, that was good. And then be like, all right, now I know I'm going to be miserable for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it makes this.
Did you notice that? Do you like? I like it.
I didn't notice it until you said something. Like, I'm now aware of it. And I think it is a really good way to split these chapters up. Because we're doing so much. There's so many characters to jump to and so many POVs and everything. I think that's kind of like the best way to do it, is be like, here we are with the humans in Darujistan doing the thing. And then here we are with the, 20 million year old sad elves in this section. I think it is a good way to do it.
It really separates the stories.
Yeah. And it helps that they're in completely different locations. So it's not like we're also in Darujistan and dealing with the Andii. They're like somewhere completely different, which also, helps create that division. Yeah, that's a very good observation, India. So we see Gratathan is a Erdeman from the Panyon. Says, now we can do whatever we want, because Saland and Spinnock and the Seerdeman are all gone. They're not coming back. So it's like, okay, cool. And then he looks at Black Coral and is like, haha, fuck that dragon. We're going to break that dragon statue down. And then we get Solana's POV is like, I'm not a fucking dragon, or I'm not a fucking statue, idiot. Yeah, Josh.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
These people lived in this city, right? Have the Tiste Andii built whole new swaths of city to the point that they just go, yeah, they built a dragon statue overnight? You know what I mean? Like, if you're building a dragon statue, even with some magic, you would imagine there's some prep work where you see it happening, and like there's a half-formed dragon.
Right, you see half
this
a dragon
was just fully done one day. Like, do they just go, yep, great builders, those Tiste Andii? Like, it just confuses the shit out of me how they don't know it's a real-ass dragon.
Yeah. Well, maybe he wasn't around for a couple of years. Maybe he left and then came back and was like, oh, they built a dragon, sick.
And he just goes around and no one's constantly like, yeah, we live in fear under a ruling class that at any moment could just murder us all with a fire-breathing death machine.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
No, Josh, yeah, you make a good point. That's funny.
Could you imagine living in fear of the ruling class?
Not me.
Unimaginable.
Couldn't be me.
So then we move on to the real meat of this chapter, in my opinion, back with Namander and everybody. They come across some ruins, and then inside the ruins, what's that? Oh, it's a Jagat.
Now, I know I said that thing about Fisher earlier. Totally wrong. This guy fucking rules. Shout out, my boy.
Yeah.
We've met Gothos several times, although only in flashbacks.
We have, yeah. So he's never been in the story. He was in the prologue and the epilogue of the last book.
Gothos.
What'd you think of this reveal, Josh?
I mean, I thought it was tough because like he kind of sucks shit.
He does suck shit. Yeah.
Wow.
But like, if you were stuck in that tower for millennia, wouldn't you?
Sure. Sure.
Gosh, I don't know. He's so self-important and everything they do, and he's just like, you've ruined my plans. I'll have to reevaluate. And then he just sits down sullenly in the corner.
Yeah.
I don't know. There is a part of me that like loves that energy, but like don't love when, Namander just falls into the wall and he's like, yeah. Just leaves him be.
When you're a multi-millennia old creature and something doesn't go according to plan, there's no point in being upset about it. You're just like, oh, fuck.
I would. I've spent 6,000 years working on this.
Yeah, but think of how many times. Think of how many times he spent thousands of years on a plan that didn't follow through. You know what I mean? It's just
you know what? You are right. You have just you've made me reevaluate that.
At one point though, at the end of this section with him, not to jump ahead, but he says something. He's like, my follies or something. He's like, which is funny because all the stuff that we've seen from Gothos written in the epigraphs are from Gothos's folly. So I thought that was a funny little thing.
Here's a fun 10 very big books fact. one of our rejected show names was Our Folly. And it was like a Gothos folly joke. Nice. And it was like, oh, it was our folly to read these books. Glad we didn't go with it. That wouldn't have been the best choice, but
I think I don't know. I think it could have been a fine choice. I think this is a much more accessible title.
I stand by Talon Podcast is a really good title and we should have done it, but
I do like Talon Podcast. It's extremely good. India, what'd you make all this Gothos stuff? Nimander gets poisoned and thrown into this other realm where we meet Elder who's making Azath houses. What'd you think of this?
Well, let's take a small step back.
Okay.
Gothos is the Jaghut from who? These are just questions I had.
So
before.
Gothos, his name has popped up a couple of times in some epigraphs.
I recall.
Yeah. We met him at the beginning of the last book, I believe, when he took the heart out of, or he made the finist.
Yes, he had the finist
that they were trying to get that had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We met him a bunch of times, I feel, right?
Not really. He's been brought up a good amount of times because he is Icarium's dad, or something.
Doesn't he? Is he the one that worked for the crippled god?
No, different Jaghut.
Oh
yeah, forgot about that Jaghut.
Oh yeah,
so
different Jaghut.
So this guy is Icarium's dad,
and it sounds like he's like the dad of all the Jaghut, maybe right. Because he's also Rast's dad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, was he in the Azath house? This guy?
No, that's Raste.
Yeah, Raste is the one in the Azath.
Then whose dad was in the Azath? Someone's dad was in there.
Oh, you're thinking of Icarium's dad is in the Azath house.
But you just said this was
Icarium's dad is Gothos.
Oh yeah, well he used to be in an Azath house. He even says that here. This used to be an Azath house.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear you, India. My bad. Yeah, this is Icarium's dad, and he was in an Azath house and is no longer. Because
great. The house he was in is now deactivated or whatever. It's the same house. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know that. I haven't read the books.
Well, okay, fair enough. You just seemed pretty.
Why is he in a tower?
Because this wasn't he in the Azath house in Lether? Wasn't that where he was? And that house crumbled last book fully. The power of the Azath fully was dead by the end of last book.
Why do you think he was in there?
Because I don't know another Azath house we were near for that long.
Well, but he was already out at that point because he made the finist in the beginning of the book.
Well, it's because that happened way long time ago. That was a flashback. The finist was a huge flashback.
Okay.
Yeah, that was way before he was stuck in a Azath house.
Okay.
And so then Gothos poisoned Nimander? Or just put him to sleep?
Well, he drugged Nimander and Skintick.
And then he went, and now he's where now?
So then,
great.
Yeah.
So then he ends up with the Elder, but like, where did he go? Where is the Elder?
He fell through the wall, which was a portal to a warren where there were a lot of ghosts, and he was mortal, and they were trying to take his body, and he ran into the Elder.
Is the Elder there because he's always been there?
Gothos, yeah, he's been there for a long time, and it seems like Gothos has just kind of like a while ago he put him there, but he wasn't always there.
Okay, so Gothos is putting people into this. This is all his.
He has said he's been. Yeah, they said like he's putting people in there.
Yeah, that's how all the souls got there and stuff.
That's what. Okay, great. I'm glad we're on the same page here. Yeah. So this is his Dragnapur, if you will.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they're
Except
alive.
That somehow, hey, what's up with these? With all the like the Tiste Andii in this group having like weird ass powers, like this girl being able to just reach in and take someone out when Gothos can't, and the other girl just being also Superman. Like, what's up with all this?
I mean, they're children of Animander Rake, baby. I don't know.
I mean, I guess.
Elder is good.
Elder's great. I love Elder.
Yeah, Elder is good.
Pete's been fully reclined, eyes closed for like 3 straight minutes.
Yeah.
I just want to say Elder's good. It's really trippy. It's like, whoa, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah. And then it's like, he's a big guy.
It's really good. I really, really love it. In the audiobook, the narrator
I can't wait.
Gives like, it's like this really high pitched voice for when they meet Elder and stuff. And then when Elder goes to build the house and says, I'm a different person when I make houses, it's like, I'm a different person when I make houses. It's crazy.
That's really good.
Yeah. But yeah, so India, that's the whole Elder Nimander situation, and Gothos and stuff. Is that?
And that's great. And then that's all I have.
Okay.
I feel good about it.
Yeah. So what did you think about this then? What did you think about like Nimander showing up and
I was confused.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, I don't know, I guess it's like interesting kind of.
I mean, we've never seen somebody build an Azath, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's what that was.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Where's it going to go? Like, where's this Azath house going to pop out?
Yeah. So Gothos has been keeping Elder here just building Azath houses. And then right before Elder finishes the Azath house and it teleports to wherever it's going to go, Gothos shows up and is like, let me hitch a ride. And then they put the last stone in and the Azath house teleports to wherever it's going to be, I guess. So I guess Gothos knows where every Azath house is or something. So that's kind of neat, I guess. But yeah, so Nimander's like, oh, okay, well, build one in your little house, your little area that you sleep in, your cave or whatever, your pit. Because Elder says whenever they try and whenever he tries to build a house, then the spirits knock it over. So he's like, oh, but they can't come in my pit. So you should build one in the pit. He's like, I never thought of that. I thought houses are supposed to have corners. He said, nah, make it a tower. So then he builds a tower, and Nimander says, I'll put in the last block so you can be free. And this is where I was saying that there's another annoying character in this book, and it is Nimander, because Nimander's like, yeah, sure, I just met this person, and I'll let them teleport away, and I'll stay with these spirits. I'll reason with them. They'll listen to me. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? What is happening? Why are you doing this? Why don't you both just take the house, and then you can find your way home some other time? Extremely annoying to me.
Sorry, buddy. I'm not going to do the defending here.
Okay.
I'm asleep.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm asleep.
Well, we're almost done. Don't worry. So that happens. And meanwhile, on the outside, Calor tells everybody that Nimander and Skintick were drugged. Desra makes it to the house. Arantha says she needs to talk to Gothos. Yeah, so Desra somehow reaches through the wall, like Josh said, and rescues Nimander. And Gothos is like, oh, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they leave. And like, that's the end of that section.
Yep.
Which I know I said that was the meat of the chapter, and it kind of ends kind of unceremoniously on Gothos's end. But I do think it's like, you know, he's waited thousands of years for things to not pan out before. So he's just like, man, that stinks. And then we head back over to the captain and the caravan, trying to convince Karsa to be his heir. Karsa obviously says no. He talks about how slavery is bad. And then the captain dies and says, you could have lied, which I thought was extremely funny.
Hysterical.
So good.
Yeah. And then Karsa does some more thinking. A lot of talk about childhood and youth in these two chapters. Karsa thinks about the youth's capacity to dream. This is with each blade of grass with significance, stuff like that, which, you know, sure. And then he sets the carriage on fire. Josh, what'd you think about him being like, hey, leave here, find somewhere good to live, but I am going to kill you?
I think one of the greatest, cockiest speeches I've ever heard. Was so into it.
Oh my God.
Live your lives, enjoy them for the next 2.5, 3 years. I don't know for sure, but then it's killing time.
Yeah.
Like, just, I always love how he goes on these, he's getting so much more eloquent in his thoughts. And I love that he'll give this huge, like, inner monologue about the failures of society. And then he goes, and of course, there's only one solution: genocide. Every time, like that, it just comes back to genocide. And I'm like, I just think maybe there's other solutions, perhaps.
Josh, you're wrong about that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Burn it to the ground, baby.
Burn it to the ground. And then we get kind of a glimpse into the future a little bit, because Krupp's telling this story. Karsa becomes known as just becomes known as Broken Face, a promise of demise, which is sure cool, I guess.
God, if he becomes the broken-faced god, that's a badass name.
It's a good name. It is a good name. You're right. And then finally, we head over back to Samar and Traveler. They see the pyre in the distance, the burning carriage in the distance. But before that, Traveler talks about his past as Dasimul Tor. And I just want to read a little quote here, get all our temperature here. They're talking about, he says, I once led armies. I was once the will of the Emperor of Malaz. We served death, of course, in all that we did, for all our claims otherwise. Imposing peace, ending stupid feuds and tribal rivalries. Opening roads to merchants without fear of banditry. Coin flowed like blood in veins. Such was the gift of those roads and the peace we enforced. And yet, behind it all, he waited. With a cold smile, he waits. Where all the roads converge, where every path ends, he waits. And in my head, he's talking about Hood. He's talking about death. He says, no matter what you're doing, death waits. Yes, Josh.
That is who he's talking about, because we learned last book that Dasimul Tor is one of the biggest guys in the cult of Hood in the Malazan Empire.
Right. That's right. Thank you, Josh.
Which includes the father of Tak is also big into that. Yeah. And Whiskey Jack. Remember, Whiskey Jack's sister was sold into. Yep.
India, what do you think about this idea that no matter what empires and civilizations strive to do, it all just ends in death?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, which is why
we're all gonna die.
Yeah. Do you think this justifies Karsa's genocidal tendencies? It's all gonna end in death anyway, so he should just burn the cities down himself.
Karsa doesn't really kill people anymore, though. Like, only bad people.
What's a bad person, India? Who decides who a bad person is?
A god.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, India, to be fair, he did just free a bunch of slaves and stuff, and then was like, "Hey, go live your lives, but I am gonna kill you later."
Yeah,
he's not really. He was just—it's an empty threat. Karsa.
No, it's not.
A big game.
He's going back to his people to ravage the land.
Take a joke, guys. This PC culture.
Seriously,
it's like you can't even say you're gonna kill anyone nowadays without being canceled.
Right?
God, exactly.
Like, God, he gave them years to hide. He's fair.
Yeah. And then it ends.
I love Karsa. I'm Team Karsa.
We know
High key Team Karsa.
Yeah. The biggest Karsa fan on the show, I believe.
Yeah.
Am I? Josh, you don't love Karsa?
I love Karsa.
I was gonna say, and I just think your number. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I think I'm a strong number 2.
That's fair.
I'm ranking 4th. So
yeah. Pete, we all know that.
So the chapter ends and the section ends with Traveler saying he's afraid of Karsa and Samar understanding him.
Yeah, Samar literally is like, Samar's funny because Samar, who has chosen to stay with Karsa through all of this, is like, yeah, he's pretty fucked up, man. Like that carriage burning, that was Karsa. Mm-hmm. All this shit. But Samar doesn't leave, so
it's true.
Why is that?
Curiosity, maybe. Mm-hmm. See what he's up to.
She loves Karsa.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right. So that's the end of this section. I just really quick. I mean, we'd kind of talked about it a little bit ago, but what do we all think is going to happen in this book? Like, what do we think, Josh?
I mean, I think the only group heading towards a potential conflict is the Tiste Andii, which is unfortunate because I don't care about them.
Yeah.
With who?
What?
Each other? Like,
no, they're going to Bastion, the home of the crippled god, and they're bringing Kalor with them,
Oh, you mean the kind of Namander group?
Yeah. Sorry, the Namander group. I just don't really know like that to me, but see, that seems too obvious of a conflict, and also what hope would they have of even putting up a fight? So I don't know where it goes for them.
What number book is the crippled god?
10.
I feel like that's probably when.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. There are so many threads in this book.
Yeah.
I truly have no idea what's going to happen in any of them.
Yeah. India?
I do think, going back to the human side of things, they might, what's his name? Chalice's man?
Gorliss.
Yeah.
That might be a whole little thing in itself, whatever they're doing. I don't know. Like that whole bid for political whatever.
Yeah. The political intrigue.
I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a reason that Harlow was sold to slavery. So wonder who.
Yeah, that's got to go
story
somewhere
too.
Yeah.
And if anybody will find him.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, if/when we go back to Harlow's POV, if it's like
Stoney,
right? Like, who's going to rescue him? I could see it maybe being Stoney. Like, that's kind of a dramatic, like.
I feel like it won't be.
Yeah.
I feel like it absolutely won't be. I feel like she gives no fucks.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Fuck Snell.
Yeah, Snell is like one of my least favorite characters in the series.
Yeah.
Ever. I prefer a psychopath adult to a psychopath child. Something about a psychopath child is just a little bit more creepy to me.
Yeah,
agreed.
I think it's something about like the adult knows that they're doing something bad. The kid is just kind of like, I don't know. There's like a chance that like maybe it's not on purpose, but then if it is on purpose, that makes it even creepier. You know?
Right.
Yeah, I get that. Pete, what do you think's gonna happen in this book? No,
So
I do think there's got to be something with these hounds, huh? We've got the Hounds of Dark. The Hounds of Light have shown up out of nowhere. So, and the book is called Toll the Hounds, Woof Woof.
Wow, forgot that, honestly.
Bark, bark.
So yeah, Woof Woof, Bark Bark. I think something's got to happen with those dogs, but I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as we like. I don't know, as like calling the book Toll the Hounds is. But whatever. That's the end of the episode, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. Yeah, Pete.
did I tell you I want to tell Steve, I feel like there's a way the books could get a lot better.
What? Yeah.
Oh,
I'm ready.
imagine if the Joker was in one of these.
All right, everybody. Pete went on a big hike today. Everyone say night, night, Pete.
Right. Peter is asleep.
He's the clown prince of crime.
When I say good, you say night. Good.
Night.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here after forgetting to record the credits for the last episode. Whoops. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to give us your thoughts or feelings about this or any of our episodes, you can always email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, tweet us at 10verybigbooks, or you can head on over to our Discord, bit.ly/VBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. That link will also be in the show notes. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to financially support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. That link is also in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Geiser for making our spectacular cover art. You can follow him on Twitter at @A_W_Dan G for the hottest Kahi triple bounce takes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode, including the remixed intro and outro track, is by the one, the only Amaranthin from his album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with his other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on May 27th, talking about chapters 9 and 10 of Toll the Hounds. I'll talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.